while I'm lining up all these major parts on the car, getting it ready to be welded, I'm starting to think about how I can secure the firewall in a way that I'll like know for sure that it's in the right spot. So this is like a rough mock-up, but I'm just starting to get some ideas here. I think what I want to do is try and use one of the door hinges, like off of my busted door, like have it on here, and then maybe the busted hood hinge I can bolt on right here and like weld them together, because then I can just put that on as like a mini jig and it'll like bolt from here to here, you know, if it's like connected like that. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Now we just need to find a straight car that I can do that on. It's always nice visiting Omar's house. He has such a nice collection of cars. Omar is kind of the S-chassis parts plug around here, and he has allowed me to use this shell once again to make a jig. So thanks, Omar, it means a lot. Pretty simple jig, but very essential to lining up the new firewall. So I've grinded these down to metal, and I want to take off this top hinge of the door and also take off Omar's hinges so I don't ruin those. And we'll attach mine to the car. Originally I was planning to just put these like door hinges on here in the opposite direction that they should go, because that would make it closer to the hood hinge, but it's actually hitting a piece of the like firewall cap right there. Looks like I'm gonna have to take the doors off and like mount these in the correct direction. So now that we have the hood bracket off, we want to grind away this adhesive so that the mounts actually sit on the car flat. So before I bolt on the door hinge, I am thinking when I'm mounting up the firewall to the rest of the car, I'm going to want the door jig already attached to the car. So I need to account for that gap that I'm bolting this to. Essentially it's going to be a pillar first, then the door jig, and then this jig. So it's going to be layered. So I need to gap it out. I forgot to bring my drill, otherwise I would drill like nice holes in this piece of metal, but I don't. I'm going to put this in between the two bolt holes, and then that'll act as the spacer I need to account for. Alright, so I've got the mounts on the car, and I also have some scrap metal that I've chopped up, and I've already prepped the surfaces to be welded. So now I need to hook up my welder and disconnect the battery. That's like sturdy as it is right now, but I still want to reinforce it. All right, I think that looks pretty good. Doesn't have to be beautiful, it just has to work. And I forgot to cover the windshield, so look what happened. Just kidding, it was already like that. All right, now I gotta do the other side. Oh, it looks like this side's already done. Sick. Guess we just gotta slap doors back on this thing and we're good to go.
I got you ice cream, man.
Yes!
Sawa.
Dude, these were the best. Thanks, man.
Yes, sir.
Support your local ice cream truck. Oh, yes. Who else remembers these as a kid? Anyone? This looks crazy. Done. That was a great success. I can't wait to test out these new jigs on the car and see how it lines up the firewall. Well, my Integra work truck is long overdue for a car wash. Much better. Still need some body work and paint, but for now, that's all right. I really do want to try and restore these wheels because they're pitting really bad. What are some different methods you guys have used to restore your wheels? Once there's enough suggestions, I'll try different methods on each spot of the wheel and we'll see which one works best. So let me know. And if you haven't already, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you know anyone with a manual trans for an Integra, I'm looking for one because this transmission is due for a rebuild. It's making a lot of noise. Hopefully it doesn't blow up on me. I really want to rebuild it. So lately, Fran has been telling me that her brakes have not been working too well. And I suspect that these brake pads are down to their last bit of life. Just because we've never touched them before. So instead of putting money into the stock brakes, we want to put Z-brakes on her car. Now I did pick her up a set of Z-brakes and this is what they look like. The Z-brakes. But I didn't notice that someone snapped the stud inside the mounting hole. And I'm not trying to deal with all that right now. So instead I grabbed my brakes off of my car. But I did just refinish them because they were a little beat up. First I used a wire wheel and grinded all of the old paint off. And then I used a high temp primer. And then I did a few coats of the high temp gold. Then after it dried, I grinded off the paint where it says Nissan because I think it looks so cool like that. So yeah, let's slap these bad boys on. These brake pads still have a lot of life left. I wonder why they were so squeaky. Okay. So it looks like it hits the dust shield. So we're gonna have to trim that. So we've trimmed the brake dust shield. That way the bearing doesn't get like full of water if we drive in the rain or something. So only the outside rim of this was hitting on the rotor, so that should be fine. Now when installing Z-brakes, usually you would run a conversion line like this. You can run this hard line right here with the stock lines, but it just doesn't look nearly as good as just having one conversion line. I'm gonna install this brake line onto the caliper before I put it on the car. That way it drips a lot less fluid during the install. So we have the caliper fully mounted. I even put the mount on the brake line on the caliper, but we still have the old caliper line attached here with the old caliper. We've got the stock brake and line disconnected, and we've connected the conversion line to the car. And now I want to put in this clip right here. This thing just kind of like slides in there, like holds it in place pretty nicely. Tighten it down one more time. All right. So I wanted to show you how they look in comparison. So here's a Z rotor and caliper, and then here's the stock one. The Z brakes have 4 pistons, and the stock one is only 1 piston. And even just by looking at the rotor, like, it doesn't look like a lot, but definitely makes a big difference. And it also looks much cooler. All right, now to do the other side. Alright, so now we gotta bleed the brakes. So the first thing you want to do is make sure you have brake fluid in the brake fluid reservoir. And in our case, we're a little low, so we're gonna top that off. Alright, so we have Franzy pumping the brake. And what we want to do is try and bleed out all of the air that's in the system. I guess I should also mention that I did get some overspray on the pads and hardware, and I wasn't too worried about that because I knew I was going to put new pads and hardware on it. So yeah, now we're doing that. Now I'm going to put the wheels on and it's time for a test drive. Let's see how this thing stops. Test drive. Oh man, this thing stops so good. Do you want to try it out?
First things first, let's move the seat up 3 feet.
Oh my gosh. It stops so much better. Good. Oh my gosh. Before you'd have to like really press the pedal for it to like start to brake, but now it's like, oh, we stopping.
Also, even if you were just like coasting up to a stop, like slowly, you like slowly press on the brake, it would be squeaking right now.
Oh really?
No squeak.
Job well done. And they look sick. Heck yeah. Well, I thought we fixed it, but it sounds like it's still squeaking. But I think the squeak is actually coming from the rear this time. I guess we'll take the rear apart and take a look. Now we can see how low the brake pads are. Ooh.
Yeah, this is my car. Squeaking around town, it's me.
Nice. Let's see how they look. That one doesn't look too bad. This one also doesn't look too bad.
Alright, now it's time to do this side. Well, that was easy.
Well, as you know, after any modification, gotta take it for a test drive.